Right, good afternoon to all our participants. Good evening in Vancouver to Patrick McAndless. Patrick is our presenter today, and he has done this session for us for the last couple of years, and it's been very successful for our mentees and mentors. Patrick is a Canadian geologist. He's based in Vancouver, where it's 7 p.m. and a very pleasant 23 degrees today. Patrick has 45 years of experience in the mining industry, principally in exploration for base and precious metals. He has managed large-scale exploration projects for senior and junior mining companies, focusing on porphyry coppers, volcanogenic massive sulfides, epithermal gold, and diamond deposits. He was part of the Imperial Metals team that discovered the copper-gold northeast zone in British Columbia and high-grade gold 144 zone in Nevada. Patrick has got innumerable awards: the Rick Huston Memorial Award, the Golden Pick Award, the Robert Hedley Award, the C.J. Westerman Memorial Award, the H.H. Spud Eustace Award, and the Northern BC Business and Industry Award. And they are for a variety of things, but principally for being in the prospecting industry, and also for his education input. He's a guest lecturer at over 500 universities, colleges, secondary and elementary schools across Canada, US, South America, Africa and Australia and Europe, providing students and graduates of all levels and disciplines with a set of practical tools to effectively transition from learning to earning. He's a guest lecturer for Minerals Ed in the elementary and secondary schools, providing information about presentations including rocks to rockets, and it's about time. So welcome, Patrick. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Doug. And I'd just like to take this opportunity to give a shout out to you and your colleagues for the excellent work you're doing with the AIG mentoring program. It's absolutely world class. I've had the opportunity to be involved in a lot of mentoring programs, and this is typical of Australians. It's a real standout, so good on you. And for the participants, I want to start off by saying that how challenging it is sometimes when we're getting started in our career or in the process of going through our career journey. One of the most challenging things that we're faced with often is having to market ourselves. And how many times have we been asked that question, tell me about yourself? So what I want to do is take you on a journey. It's a journey that I've taken thousands of students around the world on to help them answer that question of tell me about yourself, and really to be more effective with marketing yourself. And the way we're going to do that is by discovering your brand. And when I talk about your brand, really what I'm talking about in simple terms is it's your unique way of building value or creating value. Another way of putting that is your unique way of making a difference. And everybody has made a difference. And what we're going to do is look at how you've made a difference, perhaps sometime in the past, or perhaps how you're making a difference now, or even how you are considering making a difference in the future as you start moving through your career journey. So when we look at how you've made a difference, we're going to look at 4 different areas where you've likely made a difference. And one of them is perhaps in the school experience where you've done a research project or joint projects. Perhaps there you've made a difference. For a lot of people, it's volunteering, whether it's in the school space or in the community. Maybe that's where you've made a difference. Another place is in the work experience, so either geoscience related or non-geoscience related. Maybe that's where you've made a difference. or maybe it's in a leisure activity, something where you've been involved in the arts, something like music, dance, whatever the case may be. Maybe it's one of these 4 areas where you have definitely made a difference. So that's what we're going to get our focus into. So you making a difference is what this personal brand is all about. And the core of this personal brand is really 2 oculars: how others see you as a difference maker and how you see yourself. So we're going to go through an exercise to develop your personal brand. And the basis of this are 3 attributes that will define your personal brand. So once again, your personal brand is your unique way of making a difference. So 3 attributes. We're going to look at your strengths. We're going to look at your skills. And those skills are going to be soft skills as well as hard skills, but we're going to primarily look at your soft skills, and we're going to look at values. So those are the attributes to your personal brand. So let's start with strengths. And the way I define strengths is something that comes naturally to you, and you can think all the way back to elementary school, through high school and university. Something that comes naturally to you. So on the AIG website, hopefully there was an opportunity to download this worksheet called Discovering Your Brand. If you don't have the worksheet, not a problem. Just take a blank piece of paper and a pen, write down Discovering Your Brand, and we'll go forward from there. So on the worksheet, Section A under strengths, what I want you to do is think of 3 things that come naturally to you. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a word list to help you out. So maybe it's being caring, compassionate, maybe it's being cooperative, maybe it's diplomacy, fairness, maybe it's integrity, learning, being logical. So these are strengths of yours. So remember, we look at it in 2 ways: what you've heard from other people in terms of feedback, or how you see yourself in a difference-making role. So what I want you to do is pick 3 strengths that come to mind or that are on this list. And then what I want you to do is star the one most relevant to you. So either do it on a blank piece of paper, 3 strengths, star the one most relevant, or on the worksheet. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to do that, and we'll reconvene. So go ahead and pick 3 strengths, something that comes naturally to you. Star the one most relevant. So I'll give you a couple of minutes. So when I look at this word list, there's probably at least 15 that apply to me, but there's definitely ones that stand out. Certainly organizing is an important one. Respect is another one. Leadership, these are ones that come to mind for me. Pick 3, star the one most relevant.
I might just interrupt there, Patrick, for a second while the participants are doing that. If the participants have any questions they want to address to Patrick, if they can put them in the Q&A panel, which is down the bottom of their screen, and they'll come up and we'll address them towards the end of the session.
Perfect. So as you're going through this list, I want you to think about the school experience. I want you to think about volunteering, maybe a leisure activity, maybe a work experience. Where do you see how you have been a leader or listening or logical? So somewhere along the pathway in those different areas, you've developed these strengths. So I'll give you another half a minute. Okay, so that is strength. So hopefully you've recorded 3 and you've starred the one most relevant. So let's now look at skills. So skills to me are things that you have learned. And I think for this exercise, I want you to focus on soft skills, not necessarily hard skills. Hard skills would be geoscience related, for example, mapping or core logging. So yes, those are skills, but I want you to focus more on the soft skills, so things that you've learned. And once again, when you're going through this, think about the school experience, volunteering, work experience, or a leisure activity. At some point in your life, you learned a skill and it really stands out as one that people see you in making a difference. So let's go to the Discovering Your Brand worksheet under section B, skills, or on a blank piece of paper, write down skills, record 3 skills, something that you have learned. And again, think about the school experience, work experience, volunteering, or a leisure activity. And you can go all the way back into elementary school if you need to. So I'm going to help you once again. So here's a word list. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to record your 3 top skills and then star the one most relevant to you. How other people see you in this skill as a difference maker, or how you see yourself. So a skill that I learned, certainly particularly in university, was logical. In order to survive in the engineering world, if you're not logical, it's going to be quite difficult. So that's something I learned. Pick your top 3 skills, star the one most relevant. I'll give you another minute. Sometimes it's not an easy process to reflect back on where you've made a difference and what skills you used to make that difference, but hopefully you're doing okay with that. Okay, so so far we've looked at strengths, something that comes naturally to you, skills, something that you've learned, and we're with a focus on soft skills. Now let's look at the third attribute, which is values. So values to me are principles, something you're not going to compromise on. When somebody says, hey, it's okay, no worries, you don't need to worry about it. If it's a principle of yours, it's something that's a value, you're going to say, wait a minute now, no, I'm not going to do it. So principles. So let's go to the Discovering Your Brand worksheet again under section C, values, or on a blank piece of paper, write the word value down, values. And what I want you to do is I want you to pick 3 principles that are important to you, something that you're not going to compromise on. So let's give you another word list. So maybe it's diplomacy, maybe it's loyalty, maybe it's sharing, maybe it's vitality, maybe it's wealth. Pick your top 3 values. And again, think of the school experience, volunteering, work experience, or leisure activity where these might come to mind. Pick your top 3, star the one most relevant. Give you a minute or so to record that information. Another 30 seconds. All right. So now what we want to do is look at which word describes you in the context of making a difference or building value. And you're going to get this question in an interview. You're going to say, you know, we're considering you for this job, and we'd like to ask you, how are you going to make a difference? And we'd like you to answer it in a few words or even in one word. So what is that one word that other people say about you or how you consider yourself as a difference maker? If somebody was to say, how do you, or how have you, how do you, how do you intend to make a difference? What is that one word? So this is the foundation of your brand. And again, focus on one of these 4 areas, the school experience, volunteering, work experience, or an activity, or even a combination of them to come up with the word that best describes you as a difference maker. So let's go back to the worksheet. Under section D, action word. What's that one word that best describes how you create value? If you don't have the worksheet, just write down action word. What I want you to do is pick 3 that come to mind or from this list that best describe how you make a difference. And think about the feedback you've been getting from others over the years and how you think about yourself. Are you the kind of person who's always building? Are you conceiving? Are you constructing? Are you the kind of person that's always formulating, facilitating, engaging, encouraging, helping, improving? Who are you when it comes to making a difference? How do you best describe yourself. And this is really the foundation of your unique way of making a difference. In other words, your brand. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. Discovering has always been a very, very important part of my life, going all the way back to elementary school. And I thought that was my action word. It's part of my brand, but it's not my action word. There's another word that I'll share in a few minutes. Give you another minute. Pick 3, star the one most relevant. Okay, hopefully you've recorded 3 and starred the one most relevant to you. So what we've done is we've put together the pieces to your brand. So we've got an action word and we've got the attributes to your personal brand, how you make a difference. So in other words, your strengths, skills, and values. When you apply those attributes, you have made a difference. So you've essentially created your brand. So how do we articulate a brand? When somebody, you just can't say, this is my brand. So what we do is we create a brand statement. And some people say, oh, this is an elevator pitch. No, elevator pitches are too long. So it's not an elevator pitch. It's not a mission statement, something that most people can't remember anyway. What a brand statement is it's 10 words or less. So the logic behind that is the average attention span of most people is about 6 seconds. And the number of words that they can absorb in that period of time is about 10 words. It's kind of interesting when you look at the newspaper, most headlines are no more than 10 words. So your brand statement that you're going to be creating, which is a true reflection of how you create value, is going to be 10 words or less. The power of a brand statement is it piques curiosity and interest. So it's just like fishing. The brand statement represents the lure on the line. So not every fish is going to be attracted to your brand, but that's not our concern. The purpose of the brand statement is to attract those to you who like how you make a difference. So it changes around the whole job search piece. Now what you're doing is you're building your network and you're attracting people and organizations to you who like how you make a difference, and those are the companies that you want to be working for. So I've been working with thousands of students over the years, and just tremendous success stories. So your brand statement starts with an action word that you've already created. So it's the action word. And so when you say your action word, let's say it's helping or serving or building, then you ask yourself the question, what, how, who? And the answers to those questions is something you've already created in the attributes to your brand, your strengths, your skills, your values. So let's have a look at a couple of examples. Working together to produce innovative and quality solutions. So this is a co-op engineering student from the University of Victoria, working together to produce innovative and quality solutions. So he serves this brand every day in his co-op program, and they absolutely love him. Why? Because he's a difference maker. People nowadays, when they're hiring people, they're hiring for difference makers. They want people to help their company grow, and in doing so, they'll help you grow. So when we look at this brand statement, there's the action word, working. So then the question is, who? Together. And that's one of his strengths, always likes to work together. To produce innovative is the how part. So remember, we're asking ourselves who, how, what. So working together to produce innovative what? Solutions. So that's how we put a brand statement together, working together to produce innovative and quality solutions. So this brand statement becomes your mantra. It becomes your guide. Every day, this is what you're going to be doing. If you serve your brand every day, I will guarantee you, you will have a successful career journey. People love difference makers. This is a perfect way to articulate how you are a difference maker. It answers the question, tell me about yourself. Here's another example. This is actually a high school student who's gone on to medical school at the University of British Columbia, helping my community with small actions that make big differences. This particular brand statement, he lives by this brand statement, and any part-time work he's ever applied for, he's always got the position simply because they love how he makes a difference. Helping, action word. Community answers the question who, and that's a value. Actions. How? Where did he get that from? That was one of his strengths. Differences. Helping my community with small actions that what? Make big differences. And that's a skill of his. Helping my community with small actions that make big differences. So the whole idea of the brand is to separate you out from everybody else who's trying to market themselves. You know, when we graduate from university, we all pretty much have the same amount of schooling, same amount of skills. So how do we separate ourselves out? So the way I like to look at it is, if you look at these cows, generally speaking, they all look the same. They're all graduates, or they're all undergraduates. They're all looking about the same. The exercise that we just went through is a way of separating you out. So can you imagine looking out into that field and one of the cows happens to be different, a purple cow? So what the heck is a purple cow? A purple cow is your unique way of making a difference. So really that's what we're doing. We're turning you into a purple cow. We need to get you to start standing out, separating yourself out from the rest. So normally I let you go away and start drafting up a brand statement, but I'm going to do it a little differently today. I'm going to get you working on it as we continue on with this workshop. So on the worksheet under brand statement, 10 words or less, starting with the action word, describing how you create value or make a difference. So if you could just have a blank piece of paper, just write down brand statement. Okay, remember, 10 words or less. It's got to stand out. It's got to pique interest. When you say your brand statement, you need to believe it, own it, love it, and know that it's going to make a difference. I have some students who'll say, oh, I don't know, it's kind of awkward saying it. If it feels awkward, it's not your brand statement, simply because how can it be awkward if you're making a difference? So what I want you to do is let's go to work. So everybody's got the action word. So what I want you to do is we're just going to start drafting in this workshop just so you get the process going. So write down your action word under brand statement. Now what I want you to do is I want you to ask these 3 questions. What, how, who? And the answer to those questions are in your strengths, skills, and values. It's pretty straightforward, but it's not easy to get a brand statement that works for you. It took me quite a while to get a brand statement that really works for me and means something, because this is going to be your guiding light. It's going to be your mantra going forward in your career. Got so many testimonials and success stories of students who struggled in marketing themselves, who are now CEOs of major mining companies, all because they serve their brand every day. They make a difference every day. So my brand statement begins with the action word helping. Helping who? Others. Helping others. How? Discover. Discover what? Their greatness. So that's what I'm doing with you today, is helping others discover their greatness. I'm helping you discover your greatness. So what I want you to do is just start drafting, just come up with a few ideas, and we'll give you a couple of minutes to work on it. And in the meantime, while you're working on it, as Doug was saying, if you've got any questions, put them down in the post box, and we'll answer questions. Or if I can help you work on your brand statement, let's do that. So this is a good way to get into it. And then in the end, I'll tell you what you can do with your brand statement in preparation for next week's workshop, which is really the practical side of using your brand statement. Once you have your brand statement, then we're going to look at creating brand products. We're going to look at resumes, LinkedIn profiles, social media, business cards, and networking. We're going to look at ways of featuring your value and telling the world how you make a difference. And again, just like with fishing, and getting the right lure on that line, we want to attract the right people and organizations to you as a difference maker. So I'll give you a couple of minutes. And then maybe if some of you have drafted up, a first crack at a brand statement, you might want to share it. Start with that action word. Action word is really the foundation to your brand and your brand statement. It really tells this whole story about you as a difference maker. So going all the way back to elementary school, I was always helping. I was always helping the teachers. I was always helping my fellow students. And that carried all the way through to where I am right now. Always helping, that's me. Anybody, that's how other people describe me, and that's how I see myself. And yes, discovery was a big part of my life, and I have an incredible passion for discovering, and have been fortunate to discover a few ore deposits. So that's why discover became part of my brand statement. It's always been there. So, you know, I was always helping organizations discover ore deposits, but now what I'm doing is I'm helping others discover their greatness. So greatness, once you discover greatness, you really have arrived at a point where what I call the passion square, where you're in our workspace, where you love what you do and do what you love. That's where we want to get you to. So while you're still working on the brand statement, I just want to let you know that I've got a website called geodudecorner.com. On that website, I've got video presentations similar to this, and I've got examples of applications of the brand statement on resumes, business cards. So it's a good resource for you to use for this workshop and next week's workshop as well. So my role with you is mentorship. So I'm here to help you today, and whenever you need help, I am just simply an email away. So p.mcandless@telus.net. So the only disclosure I've got is that I don't charge a fee. This is all volunteering for me, and it's an honor and a privilege to support the AIG mentorship program. And this is my way of making a difference. So p.mcandless@telus.net. So what I'd like you to do is send me your draft of your brand statement. I'll have a look at it, and then we'll have a dialogue around how you back up your brand statement with what I call a value statement, but we won't worry about that right now. So one thing I want you to keep in mind is a brand statement is fairly general in nature and content. So helping others discover their greatness, it's kind of hard to even think I was involved in the mining industry. So keep it as general as possible. The value statement will be a specific example of how you create value. So when I'm in a conversation with somebody and they say, so Patrick, what do you do? I say, I'm a mentor helping others discover their greatness. 9 times out of 10, they ask me, how do you do that? And so what I do is I back it up by saying I do workshops, personal branding workshops worldwide to help students transition from learning to earning. And that gets us into a conversation. And usually I'm not trying to get work. What I'm trying to do is get speaking engagements, and that's usually what happens. So we're going to be featuring your brand statement just like I've featured mine here, on all kinds of different brand products that I mentioned. And at this point, I would be happy to entertain any questions or support any way I can. Doug?
Thank you, Patrick. We do have a question which has been posted by Jane. Jane, I have allowed you to talk if you'd like to ask the question.
Oh, hey, yeah, thanks. A couple of questions then. Often in with employers, they'll ask about weaknesses. So you've talked about strengths and what our brand is, but sometimes employers will ask you to talk about, you know, where are your areas of weakness? How best to deal with that one?
Oh, Jane, thank you so much for that question. That is such a great question, and we're going to be talking about that next week, but let's do it right now. That is such a common interview question, and all they're trying to do is find out really where your strengths are. So it's kind of an odd way of doing it, and they're trying to catch you off guard a little bit. So what I do and what I recommend is take control of the conversation or the interview. So if somebody says, so tell me a little bit about some of your weaknesses. The first thing you do is declare a weakness. Don't dwell on it. So one of my weaknesses, I don't even call it weaknesses, Jane. I like to call it challenges. So one of my challenges is perfectionism. Then I take control of the interview or the conversation by saying, however, I use it as an opportunity to serve my brand. And then they go, what's your brand? And then you say, or I say, helping others discover their greatness. How do you do that? Then we get into a conversation. So all I'm saying is declare the weakness. If you have a weakness, maybe you don't, but don't dwell on it. Turn it into a positive side. Another way you could say it was, so in my case, I'm a perfectionist. However, I use it as an opportunity to grow and develop. So do you see what I'm doing? I'm turning it around. I'm turning it so that I'm a positive person and not dwelling on a negative. Unfortunately, when that question is asked, some people dive too deep into the weakness side of it. Don't need to do that. Declare it, move to the positive. Does that make sense?
Yep, great, thank you.
No problem. Great question. Thank you so much.
James has a question. James, I've just unmuted you. Would you like to ask that question?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, I don't know, just sort of the brand statement itself seems sort of self-centered. I'm not sure how to phrase it in a way that sort of better fits into a team environment. I'm not sure what the actual question is, but yeah, I feel like it's what I'm coming up with, and all my ideas are a bit more self-focused.
Absolutely, absolutely. So really in an interview or in a one-on-one conversation, it's what people are looking for and we're giving it to them. So I hear what you're saying. It is in some ways self-centering, but it's really a declaration of how you can make a difference for somebody else. I had a landscape gardening student. I do this for medical students, law students, and the landscaping guy came up to me and said exactly what you said. He said, you know, I've got a brand statement, but it seems so self-centered. And I said, let's take you out to the home and garden show and ask lots of questions to people, and then say, when they say, tell me about yourself, Robert, I want you to say your brand statement. So keeping in mind, we're just giving them an opportunity to show how we can make a difference for them. So what he said, when they said, so Robert, what about you? Tell me about yourself. He said, I'm a landscaper creating gardens with hidden surprises. So when he said that, they wanted to know how. And then next thing you know, he's out doing estimates at their places. Now, 3 years later, he's got his own business. He's hired a bunch of people. So I fully agree with you. It is self-centered, but it's centered in a way that is helping others. It's a way where you are conveying to others that you're a difference maker and it's going to benefit you. And that'll come out in the value statement, and we'll get into that in our own, you and I can get into that in a one-on-one conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Thanks for that.
Yeah, no problem at all. I'm here to help. I love that question or that concern, and it's definitely a valid one. And I've got that from a number of people, and it's correct. It is self-centered, but it's centered in a way that's intended to make a benefit for others. So when I say helping others discover their greatness, it's me that's doing it, but I'm doing it in a way that benefits others. So I hope that helps you out, James.
Yeah, cheers, Patrick. I'll definitely be in touch via email as well.
Fantastic. Well, I'm here to help you.
We don't have any other questions as yet. I've just allowed everybody to talk, so if there are any other questions, please come forward.
Yeah, has anybody got a first draft of a brand statement? I know it's a difficult thing to do, but if somebody just wants to share, that would be amazing.
Can I be heard? Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Could I first compliment you? I worked for 2 years in outplacement consulting, and I think your approach is exceptional.
Oh, Mike?
And I'm going to use, as you've indicated, we can use your material to help some mentees that I'm currently working with, which are quite tricky because they're not in geoscience, which is my field. Anyway, the attempt that I've made says, leading diverse technical specialists to work collectively to generate successful projects.
Love it. Okay, so can you send me that via email? I might shorten it up a little bit, but excellent work.
It's one word over, so I failed.
Yes, no, you didn't fail. No, 11's fine. If you feel right about it, I think, Mike, that's the most important thing. When I say my brand statement, I get up in the morning and I say, how am I going to make a difference today? Helping others discover their greatness. And I feel so good when I say that. So when you say your brand statement, if you feel it's your guiding light, then it's your brand statement.
You know, I'm troubled by the first word, leading. It's actually probably managing.
Yeah, managing works as well. You know, and you and I can, flush that out with a little bit of back and forth. I should mention to everybody that you can send me an email, but we can also set up a Skype call. So I'm available any way possible to help you get what I call market ready. And yeah, Mike, any way I can support your program or support you, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else with questions?
Or a brand statement?
I'd be happy to have a go at sharing mine.
Woohoo!
It's not very fluid yet, but I should just make a mention of the fact I'm actually not involved in the mentoring program, but I noticed that it came through in an email and I thought it sounded interesting as I'd not done anything like this before. I'm at a point in my career where I don't, after having children and then followed by a redundancy situation, I feel like I've come through a period of my life where I've lost myself a little. So this is interesting, but mine's turned out to be something along the lines of driven to find solutions with integrity by listening to others.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah.
I don't, it's interesting to look at it because it's sort of drilled down into a sort of a feeling I've been having for a while. And I was really struggling to make my words work because I put as a strength, inquisitive, but I couldn't make it work. So I was sort of thinking, well, what does it mean to be inquisitive?
Excellent work. Excellent work. Boy, you've just embraced the process beautifully. And I'm here to support you in your next step in the journey. And I've worked with so many people who have are going through transitioning periods in their career where they've had a hiatus or they've lost interest. You know, I've got a great story of working with person who graduated with a master's degree from the University of New Mexico in geoscience, went on to a very successful career with Barrick, and then she emailed me one day and said, I quit. I was absolutely horrified. And she said, yeah, I'm in Japan and I'm teaching English to businessmen. So apparently she loved the Japanese culture, but she said, the reason I quit is I wasn't serving my brand. So I've got so many stories of people that not only go through transitions within a particular career bracket or career type bracket, but I've got people that have moved completely out of one career and into another. I had a judge who moved away from judging and got himself involved in real estate development. So we'll help you. That's my point.
Thank you. It's good to get hear a bit of feedback on this because it's very personal. I think it's hard to share it.
Absolutely. Well, once we start embracing it and we love it, then we start wanting to tell the world, because the whole idea is to attract the people that like how you uniquely make a difference. And can you just imagine being at a conference and you're talking with 60 people? After a while, it's a blur, and it's a blur for them. But the person who says their brand statement, it's like a wake-up call. It's like, whoa, what was that? And so really, it's like the fishing, you know, it's putting the right lure on the line and attracting the right people and organizations to you and your unique way of creating value. And I emphasize that so strongly. Your brand statement is you, and it's something to be proud of. And once you get yourself into that mindset, then you're market ready.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, we've got a couple more minutes in the hour. Are there any more questions?
Putting a brand statement together is not an easy process, and I think what I recommend for everybody is please send me your draft. And the way that you can test if it's your brand statement is to try to, first of all, stand in front of the mirror and say it. And it usually starts with an action word, an ing word. And if you start getting comfortable with it, then start testing it out with family, friends. Just get them to ask you, hey, tell me about yourself. And once you start getting comfort there, then you're owning it. And really, your brand statement will not change likely for the rest of your career, particularly if it's a general statement. your value statement will change because that's a specific way that you have created value. So once again, jump on my website. I encourage you to go on to geodudecorner.com and please email me with brand statements, questions, any way that we can support you through the AIG mentorship program.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Patrick. I think we've come to the end of the questions there. Once again, thanks for your time, Patrick, and we will be talking with you again in 1 week's time. At the same time, next Wednesday, we will have the second workshop, which is entitled Marketing Your Brand, and that's, as Patrick says, is where we develop some of the more practical and useful things such as LinkedIn profiles and whatever. So please join us again next week.
Thank you for the opportunity, Doug, and thanks everybody for their attention.
Okay, thank you, and we'll call it a day now. Thank you.